Welcome back. This is the next video in the Raspberry Pi Pico temperature probe series. In this video, we're going to be connecting these 8-segment displays to the Raspberry Pi Pico and getting an output. This is in anticipation to get the temperature to display on Raspberry Pi from the Raspberry Pi Pico onto these 8-segment displays. Each of these 8-segment displays has 8 inputs, so that's 8, 16, 24, 32 output. And the Raspberry Pi Pico has a limited number of GPIO output pins. It only has 28. Number 25 is the built-in LED. So we are going to do this with 6 pins. Now we are going to accomplish that by using these 74HC595 shift registers. So we are going to send them in 1 bit at a time from the Raspberry Pi Pico into the shift register and then display it on the individual segments. The first pin that we want to connect is here, the clock pin. So what I've already done is I've connected this 4th segment temporarily to this 74HC595, connected that to the 4th digit. This chip is eventually going to go to the 2nd digit. This was all in testing prior to the video, so we're just going to go through and show that. I have the common wires for each of the chips connected together, so the reset pins, this clock pin, and we're going to go ahead and connect them to the Raspberry Pi Pico. First pin we're going to be doing is the clock pin, which is on. We're going to connect to GP9, which is right here, right before this ground pin on pin 12. This is going to be the reset pin, which is a reset low, so we have that connected high right now. And then this is the digital out pin, which I'm just going to pick the first segment, even though we're connected into the last segment, which will be on pin 11 or GP11, which is on pin 15. So pin 12, 13, 14, and we're going to connect that to pin 15. Over here, I have the second other chip that's connected. That is not going to be connected yet. I just have an LED there because I was just testing to make sure that that chip was working. And just to show that that chip is working, I will connect this also. I'll connect this to GP12, which is right next to GP11, and that'll be the next chip. And the last 2 wires are going to be ground and VCC to make sure the chip is wired, or this circuit board is powered. On the bottom here, I just have ground going there just because we have the ground from the 8-segment displays going through a current limiting resistor to ground. I'm not currently using power on the bottom rail. I will eventually probably connect it if I am. And then each of the pins are going to the 8-segment display. I don't have how I wired everything up. I will show that when we get to the code. Pretty much it was trial and error, connect the wires, and then just get the code right for each segment to display correctly. One issue I will point out is for some reason the decimal point takes a second. I have to cycle through twice to get the decimal point to display. I haven't finished troubleshooting that. I will show that later on after we get the code connected. So let's go over and take a look at the code for the 8-segment display. I have this little script that I wrote with R shell. If you want to know about configuring R shell, you can look at our first Raspberry Pi Pico MicroPython video. I'll have a link in the description. Let's run run remote, and it brings us in here, which is a environment before we get into the RPL, and we're going to edit /pyboard, and the file is seg.py. Look here, basic header information. Took some of this from Ben Eater's 7-segment display, which was I believe an 8-segment display also. It's an 8-segment display because it has these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments plus the period. So that makes an 8-segment display. These are the pin numbers. While I was troubleshooting with setting the variables to a certain pin number, I will probably go back to that to make things easier to read. But when I was troubleshooting, I wanted to just look quickly to see what pin number it was. The libraries we need to import are time, machine, and I'm specifically importing pin from the machine library. seg1 pin is on GP11 as we connected earlier. Seg2 is on GP12. Segment 3's pin will be on pin 13, and the fourth segment will be on pin 14. The clock is on pin 9, and the reset is on pin 10. I don't believe I have set the reset yet. Set all the pins initially to off, and then the first function is this clock pulse function. It makes sure it's off, it waits 5 milliseconds, turns the clock on, waits another 5 milliseconds, turns the clock off. Simple function. This is seg value is converting a digit to a binary number, which will correspond to each of these bits corresponds to one of the segments. This is how it would be written out in binary, and in regular decimal it's 63 for 0, 9 for the number 1. So you can see here 1 has 2 segments that are lit up, and those correspond to those 2 bits. 2 has that in 94 as its value, 3 has 91, 4 has 105, 5 has 115, 6 has 119, 7 has 25, and 8 has 127, which is all the bits except for the last bit. And that last bit is what would be the decimal point. And 9 is 123. And I believe I have this incorrect because I was changing the wiring around, where that is not the decimal point anymore. But I will verify that when we get to that point. The next function I made is set the segments. It takes in 4 numbers for each digit in the segment, and these numbers will be the numbers generated by the value function. You wouldn't put, say you wanted a 9 in this place, you wouldn't put a 9, you would put 123. That function goes through, goes from up to 8. It gets that value from the segment. It shifts it each bit and will display a 1 for whatever, if that bit is true. And it will do that for each of the segments. It'll sleep for 5 milliseconds, and then it will pulse the clock and move those 4 bits into each of the 74HC595. If I happen to say 74LS595, it's because I generally use LS chips. I just happen to have the HC chips for the 595. I'm not sure if they make LS chips. So it does that, and it goes through each of the 8 bits until it completes. And that is the basic function there. Now we're going to close out of this. We'll go into the Ripple, and we will work with this and show that one segment, that first segment, which is actually the last segment, the way I have it wired, and how it looks. Okay, so we have the displays connected, and we are going to go into the Ripple, and from here we are going to import that seg file. From here we can see that seg has those functions that we showed before. So we can run the seg value, and we'll put a number, say 5, and that's going to give us 115. So if we go to seg.setSeg, which is the set segment, and we put 115 for the first one, and we can put zeros for the 4 other because they aren't connected, and we hit enter, and I missed a parameter. Oh, I added an extra 0 here, and for some reason it's not displaying the correct value. Okay, for number 5, I may have made a mistake with the calculations. So let's see which other ones I've incorrectly done. So 94, 4, 2. Okay, that one's correct. And what we can actually do here is, instead of manually typing it there, we can type in the function here, and we can go through each digit. So we start with 0. Okay, that one's correct. 1, that one is correct. 2, that one is correct. 3, also correct. 4, correct. 5, okay, 5 is showing up now. So 6, and 7. And if you notice right here, the decimal point is occasionally lighting up, and that is basically because I have it cycling through at a slow pace. Okay, here's 8 and 9, and if we put 128 plus, yeah, it will put the decimal point. But as I said earlier, for some reason, anytime I put the decimal point, it takes 2 cycles to do that. So then I can make this an 8, and it's an 8 with a decimal point. So adding 128 to the value will make the segment go, and again, it takes two tries to get it to go through and change that decimal point. I'm probably missing something with shift register. If anyone knows what that could be, let me know. I may just adjust the code just to run through each iteration twice, which might look interesting as it will go through and cycle through. I may even change the time to make it even slower. What I'm going to do off camera is change all these jumper wires to hard wires. I may do it as a time lapse. I'm not sure. This is basically where we stand right now. The next video is going to be basically gluing everything together so that we can take a temperature value, convert it to its individual digits, and then display those digits here. What I'm thinking is that I'm going to have to add a value here to make this last digit a C or an F, so it can be displayed either way. And then from there, I can then display the temperature. And if with Fahrenheit, it could possibly be over 100 degrees. So it would take up all 3 digits. So I may have a clause that if it's over 100 degrees or the number is over 100, it will display the 3-digit temperature. If it's under 100 degrees, it will display the 2 digits, the decimal, and 1 more digit. And this may take a couple extra videos to get that all put together, but that will be our next video. From there, we'll see what else we can do. We can see if we can somehow consolidate this. I do plan on adding the additional 5995s to here and wiring those in. I haven't decided that. That might be after the intro of the next video. So if you're interested in this project, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any comments on what I'm doing wrong, what I can do better, or any other projects that you have in mind. I am also contemplating doing a live stream. Maybe I will assemble a digital oscilloscope that I have that is a kit, or some other project sometime during the summer. I want to thank everybody for watching, and you have a great day.